Talking about full tang and how we used the knives yesterday, we didn't have a saw because we came from the black bear straight over to the caribou, so we ended up using one of the ABWs here for pretty much batoning and breaking out the ribs. So not having a saw kind of sucks, right, to get through bone. But I mean, this thing, any of the bigger blades, just using the backside, hammering the backside, cut right through them. And it was pretty awesome to use it that way and really put these knives through the paces and what they're meant for. And there's not a chip, not a single chip, on this blade edge at all. Having a small sharpener, if it goes a little more on the dull side, having one that's a little more coarse to get that edge, and then whether it's ceramic or a fine, like this one, I'm not sure the grit on this one. This is a small diamond machining technology. It's called a DMT, right? Diamond machine technology. This is an extra fine one. With S45, we've been touching them up, so they remain very sharp because we're still hunting. Having fixed blade, full tang is really the deal out in the wilderness. If something goes wrong with the grip, the handle, you can still use that blade, no problem. Some of the things to look at, coming from a manufacturing side and maker's side, we try to look for all these little key aspects in a quality knife, right? So one of the things is with the handle or the scale or the grip, whatever you want to call it, lines up flush with the steel. You'll notice some of the bigger knives that are not skinners are, a .14 S45 steel, great steel. You want that thickness and that rigidity because you really want to be able to beat these knives up and be able to smash the back of them. You have jimping as well there. These smaller knives, these are about a .8085 to .9, and it's really good to have that thin steel. Like culinary side, skinny knives, you want it really thin. You want that edge, such an incredible edge, and so you really want to bring that steel angle down a lot. So using thinner steel, and if you look at the line here, we grind fairly high up on it just so we can get that really incredible edge. And with the S45, it holds an edge really well. Corrosion resistance is good, and heat treating to about 5960 Rockwell. Make sure of those things.
Kind of one of the big things I wanted to touch on too is just the importance of carrying a fixed blade in the backcountry. So Andy kind of went over some of the stuff that we've done with this knife, but this is the Alaska Blade Works Chugach. And I think a lot of times when you're in society and you're packing your gear in your warm house in a controlled environment, you're thinking in terms of weight, you're thinking in terms of efficiency, you're not really thinking of worst case scenarios or extremes. We've been out here for almost 2 weeks, and there's a lot of variables that can be thrown at you in terms of things that can happen in the backcountry. And the importance of carrying a fixed blade, it's not just a knife, it's a survival tool. If you needed to really utilize this knife to the extreme capabilities of what it's intended for. So like Andy talked about, like yesterday when we were, going from the black bear over to where the caribou was at, we didn't have a saw. Like this knife, we were able to push it to its limits in terms of its design with this overall blade thickness and the blade profile to detach the ribs from the carcass of the animal. And other than having a bloody grip on it, the knife is in dang near perfect condition. So if you find yourself where you have to make a fire, where you have to erect a shelter, you can use a knife like this to basically complete those tasks. So if you need to make an emergency fire or do something, kindling.
I mean, you use that knife. Its intended purpose is very, very well rounded, but you also skinned out, one of the animals that's tripped with that blade.
We've done 2 caribou with this blade. We've batoned some small rounds with it. We made tinder for a fire, and then we broke through the ribs of it. So I mean, this knife is being utilized to its maximum capability and potential on this trip. Through the HFB and ABW lineup, we have the entire gamut covered here. So like for the smaller knives, for the intricate caping, all the way up to, like Andy said, with the bigger knives, deboning and skinning, the largest animals in North America, we've got an offering that'll cover that for you. But I would really encourage people to give these bigger knives a second look. A few years ago, Andy and I shot a moose not too far from here, and we used a knife very similar to this
Oh,
in
yeah, the
size.
Pro Scout.
And I mean, I was blown away at how well that worked when we were breaking down that moose. We like micarta for, ABW because when it gets wet and bloody, it just is a good solid purchase in your hand. It doesn't become slippery. When things are, when you're in the middle of doing a task and you're out in the Alaskan wilderness and it could be raining or snowing, when you put your hand on this knife and really lock into the grip, it's a good solid purchase on the knife. And the other really cool thing about this micarta is it's going to tell a story over time. Whether it dries out, you oil it, if it, some of the blood from the caribou will kind of become part of the grip, and it just tells a really cool story over time. And that's kind of what we wanted to wrap up with, is just the story and
Yeah.
the legacy piece of what a fixed blade can be.
Like he's saying, telling that story of that knife. You go out, you hunt an animal, you use that blade, you utilize it to break an animal down, you utilize, knives in camp, and it's a piece that can be passed down generationally over time. You could have that same knife and it works really well, and you could have that same knife for 25 years and you're just sharpening it, using it, sharpening it, and when you look at that knife, it becomes such a part of the journey that you were on in those extremes and some of the greatest moments, disappointing moments, and it was utilized the entire time. But it tells that story of the past and what you've accomplished and what you've done, and you tell those stories to others, you pass them down to your kids, and it's such an incredible piece of history that you have that'll last for a long time.
I mean, Andy and I actually met each other years ago because I ordered a knife from Half Face Blades, and the hunts that I've been on, the animals that we've hunted together and used that knife for together, like, that's a piece that'll never leave my family. And I mean, that's the reason we know each other. We came to grow a great friendship and bond through a knife, and that's going to live within my family for generations to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys for spending a few minutes with us out here in the wilderness of Alaska, and we're going to bring more information, more content as time goes on, but we wanted to just give you a quick field impression and thoughts on everything. So we're on Instagram, we're also on YouTube. We're going to be putting a lot more content up on there, but also visit our two websites at alaskabladeworks.com and halffaceblades.com as well.